Here.
Terry McClung,
I'm here.
Susan Harmon.
Here.
Bob Thomas,
Here.
Mickey Schneider.
Here.
I would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got an item down here that Mr. Thomas had on discussion.
Hello? I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I'd like to add some discussion of the Fayetteville and Rogers mask ordinance.
I'll second that.
The mandatory mask ordinance? Bob?
Yes.
They only have one.
All right. Ms. Snyder?
No, me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like
Ms.
to
Green.
have a discussion of ordinance 2292, our enabling act of the temporary and permanent
I'll second.
entertainment district.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further things?
What was I'm sorry, but what was the addition that Bob had before that?
Fayetteville ordinance?
Number 5.
Mandatory mask.
Is that the one you're talking to, Ms. McClung?
I guess so.
So that's 6.
Number 6? Yeah, it's Fayetteville mask ordinance, Fayetteville and Rogers. They are two separate ordinances, two different ones, but. All right, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so moved. Get a motion to approve the minutes for June 22nd.
Motion. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we've got a couple of vacancies. We've got a vacancy on parks that's going to be coming up. No, I take that back. It says expires 5/1/25. Okay, so we do have a vacancy on parks for right now, I guess. That does expire on 5/1/25. If anybody's out there interested, please holler at our office and get an application. Your CAPC second quarter reports should be in your packet or you've gotten in the mail. And we got a vote for the Cemetery Commission for Bruce Wright, position number 5. If I can get a motion, Ms. Snyder?
I make a motion that we accept Bruce Wright to the Cemetery Commission.
I'll second.
Any comments, discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Public comments, speakers. I think we have one.
We have 2 written. Is Susan Williams here? Okay, we have 1. This is from Mark Hughes.
You need to speak into the microphone a little
Thank
bit.
you. In the middle of March, I put aside my handmade clothing business and began making face masks to distribute to the community as the COVID-19 pandemic began to spread across the country. I was quickly joined by a force of 50 volunteers working in their homes to produce over 3,500 face masks. It was an amazing effort, which was mostly appreciated by the town. Along the way, we faced questions like, why should I wear a homemade mask if it's not as effective as an N95? And why should I put a mask on my child if they can't get it? And those questions are still coming at us 4 months later. My only regret about our effort is that we started too soon. We were 8 weeks into it before Carroll County received its first case, and by then, everyone was tired of being shut in, and Memorial Day was about to officially kick off the tourist season. Merchants quickly realized they were the only ones who would be able to suggest wearing a mask, but signs reading "mask required for entry" were quickly removed when visitors complained and walked away. Without a local mask ordinance in place, merchants are the only ones who can police the situation for the safety of their own community, and it's unfair to ask that of us. At this speaking, the number of new national cases has doubled in 2 weeks' time, going from 35,000 to 70,000 cases reported daily. Mask ordinances are being adopted in towns all around us, and we still sit here arguing about open-air drinking and ways to bring more people to town without asking them to respect our safety. A mask ordinance should have been on your table a month ago, but it wasn't. It was fireworks. Cases are climbing here in Eureka, and as usual, the issue is divided between full-time residents with no stake in the tourist economy, who are willing to mask up or stay home, and the cheerleaders who will continue to invite more and more people to come here from hotspots without asking them to be responsible. If the COVID pandemic has taught us anything, it's that tourism is a fickle horse to hitch a wagon to, and adaptability is everything. If we are so dependent on tourism that we are willing to sacrifice our own health, we should look at other options. But more than that, we have to protect the people who keep this town afloat when tourists can't come. You owe it to your constituents to honor your oath to protect the health and safety of this community. You can put a discussion of a mask ordinance on the agenda soon, or keep being distracted by events to entertain guests who might be here simply because they do not want to comply with safety measures in their own cities. We are taking a loss, and businesses are shutting down all over town, but if we don't put ourselves at the moment we should have been at 3 months ago, there might not be anything here worth visiting by the end of the season. Mark Hughes, 101 Owen.
Okay. An item of business is, next item is new business, resolution to amend the 2019 budget. Get a motion to discuss.
So moved.
Get a second.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. In your packet, there's our annual resolution that amends the 2019 budget for the city of Eureka Springs. This is a budget that it's really the closeout budget that we have to do every year for the year 2019. So this is, Mr. Clark's here if you got any questions or comments.
Where'd he go?
Ms. Snyder?
There he is.
Got to get him up to the microphone. Okay, because I'm a little confused. This is the one that we did all the amendments on before
No, this is the one that we do to close out the end of the year budget
Last year.
for
for last year,
2019?
2019.
Okay, do we have anything updated new right now?
Mickey, this is 2019.
I know, I said amendment, we've been working on the budget changes.
That's for 2020.
Nothing new has come in for right now?
We'll have the budget report. We'll have the budget report very shortly, at the end of this month, actually. That's a whole different.
Right, it's two different things, but I wanted to know if we had anything that we were going to look at.
Mickey,
Mr. Mayor, can we keep it on point, please?
Mickey, we need to talk about the 2019 resolution.
All right, never mind.
Ms. Green?
I'll make a motion to assign the resolution a number and read it into passage.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Thomas?
Guess I'd just like to point out that we ended the year with almost a $900,000 surplus. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Bob, you're kind of hard to hear. Could you get closer to your mic?
Or pull the mic closer to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. All right, any further questions or comments? All right, roll call?
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes,
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
6-0. The resolution number will be 781. A resolution amending the 2019 adopted budgets for the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas for the year 2019, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein and for other purposes. Whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas has determined that it is in the best interest of the city to amend the adopted budgets of the city, and whereas certain anticipated revenues and expenditures did not occur as previously budgeted, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that Section 1, this resolution shall be known as the Cleanup Amended Budget Resolution for the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas for the year 2019, and the attached 2019 budget documents present the actual revenues, expenditures, and appropriation adjustments for the period. Section 2, that the amounts for each expenditure classification in the amended budget are hereby approved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and they are hereby authorized and appropriated for the purposes set forth for the calendar year ending December 31, 2019. Revenues for 2019. In the general fund, the 2019 amended budget, $3,793,736, an increase of $388, with a balance of $3,793,348. In the street fund, the amended budget of $859,300, with an increase of $160,979, leaving a balance of $698,321. In lot fee, the budget was the amended budget was $313,201. That is a decrease of $2,752, leaving a balance of $350,953. In the capital fund, the amended budget amount is $275,400, an increase of $250,853,000, leaving a balance of $24,547. Debt service. The amended budget amount, $1,406,100, a decrease of $32,956, and a balance of $1,439,056. Court automation, the amended budget amount of $15,350, saw an increase of $2,306 and a balance of $13,044. In the Fireman's Pension Fund, the amended budget amount of $109,930 had an increase of $26,091 and a balance then of $83,839. Water and Sewer Fund, amended budget amount of $2,200,000, an increase of $166,499, and leaving a balance of $1,833,701. In transit, the amended budget amount of $1,425,863, an increase of $395,800, leaving a balance of $1,030,063. In total, the amended budget amount, $10,199,080, with an increase of $967,208 and a balance of $9,231,872. You want to read the next page?
Appropriations for 2019 under the account on page 2. General fund, $3,789,409. Increase of $320,981 with a balance December 31st of $3,468,428. In item 10, street fund, we've got amended budget of $820,531, an increase of $297,045, a balance of $523,486. Lofty, item 11, is $295,500, a decrease of $23,412, with a balance of $318,912. Capital funds, $275,265, an increase of $66,958, with a balance of $208,307. Debt service is $1,301,623, a decrease of $62,699. A balance of $1,364,322. Court animation, $15,350, a decrease of $1,121, a balance of $16,471. Fireman's pension, $109,800, an increase of $4,991, a balance of $104,809. Water and sewer fund, we have $1,471,475, an increase of $93,980, for a balance of $1,377,495. Transit fund, we have $1,324,998, an increase of $363,275, and a balance of $961,723, for a total under the 2019 amended budget of $9,403,951, a decrease of $1,059,998, and a balance of $8,343,953.
Madam Clerk, what was that number again, please?
Which number?
Resolution 781.
All right, that brings us up to, next item is number 2, discussion of request to impose an administration fee on level 3 applications by the Historic District Commission.
So moved to discuss?
Get a second?
Second.
Okay. I think Ms. Green made the motion and Ms. Harmon seconded. This is a request from the Historic District Commission. And in your packet, the last time, they had came up following an explanation of the time and money invested in processing these level 3 applications, as well as increasing the burden on property owners during the pandemic. They moved to request from the City Council to pass an ordinance for an administration fee for new constructions, additions, and demolitions of $50. The HDC Administrator Glenn is here to answer any questions y'all may have. Ms. Harmon?
Yes, so this is a question for Glenna.
Okay, you need to speak up a little bit, please.
Sorry. It's a question for Glenna. Glenna, how many do you process per year, usually?
How many?
How many applications?
Between 300 and 500.
Okay, and how long does it take you to do each one? I know that varies, but on average, how many hours do you think
Well,
it
the
is?
level 3s take much longer than the level 1s or level 2s. Because the level 3s require that the Historic District Commission do the public notice. Planning Commission has a fee for most of their applications that require public notice, and the Historic District Commission does not. For an application I would be doing, they send to the 100-foot radius property owners. So I do the ACT-Data Scout research, come up with the list, write the letter, pay for the postage, address the envelopes, and then also make a sign.
So would you say anywhere from, what,
It could take anywhere,
4 to 5 hours?
no, it doesn't take that long. Depending on how many property owners, depending on what part of town it's in, they can vary from 3 up to 10. So I'd say an hour or 2 to get all of that done,
Okay.
and plus the postage. We pay the postage.
Okay.
Ms. Green?
Glenna, why don't you explain kind of what a level 3 is? Because it's a project that, you know, it costs a lot of money.
It's a major project. It involves, as you can see, the amendment to the existing code kind of defines what we're talking about. New construction of a building with a footprint over 200 square feet, demolition of a building with a footprint over 200 square feet, an enclosed addition to an existing building, the removal or addition of stories, and moving a building. These are all major projects. We've moved some of the smaller, what used to be level 3s, like small buildings, sheds, and greenhouses. Those are now level 2s, so anything under 200 square feet. And also decks and porches are not included in this. So this is major projects.
Ms. Green?
I don't think this is a bad idea. We charge, just like tonight on the temporary entertainment district, we have a $100 fee. All of our plannings, you know, for, you know, a CUP. What else, Glenna, for planning?
Most of the planning fees are $100.
Okay.
Rezones, conditional use permits, variances of different types. Pretty much all of their applications that require public notice
Right.
do have a fee attached.
I don't feel you're out of line asking for a $50 fee.
Any further questions? I can get a motion?
Okay. I'll make a motion that, do we have to write up an ordinance for this?
It should be an ordinance, proposed ordinance in your packet, or there was from last time.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still in your packet or not. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we have an ordinance written to include a $50 fee on a level 3 applications for the Historic District Commission.
I'll second.
$50?
Yes, that's what you were asking for, $50?
Yes, that's what it says.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved.
Thank you.
Okay, this brings us up to our next order of business is an appeal of the denial of the temporary entertainment district, ordinance 2283, by Stephen Rogers.
Make a motion to discuss.
I'll second that.
Okay. This was his appeal from the, I think council remembers, and give you a little bit of history if you don't. They applied for a permit, and then they withdrew it, and then they reapplied the last time. And so what this is an appeal on the amended, or on the second application for the entertainment district, which was on a little bit shorter district in through there. Also, he had agreed to provide security during the entertainment hours that he had proposed. I think they had also changed the dates to the end of September 13th from July 9th, which has already passed, of course, to the 13th. I denied this basically on one of the reasons was I thought that it was going to probably require an additional security that the city would have to do. And also there was a lot of public sentiment about this, but that's basically where we are right now. So it's up to the council to make a decision. Mr. Meyer?
Well, you know, usually the temporary entertainment districts are on private property where they provide the cleanup and the security. I'm speaking of the one last year.
That's
that was
true. that's
that
not
was
normal.
done. And so there wasn't any worry from the city about what it was going to cost for security or cleanup or anything. But this is completely different. We're shorthanded in Public Works, we're shorthanded in the police department, and the COVID thing that's going on. I understand these folks are in need of business. There's no question about it. They've been starving, but I just can't support it.
Ms. Harmon?
Just have a question real quick. You mentioned in here the November election on your letter. Has all of that been filed already as far as, okay, so there is a referendum that will be going on to the, okay. And it is specifically related to the entertainment district or both, entertainment and temporary?
It's for the permanent entertainment district.
It's for the permanent, not the temporary, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Ms. Green?
That's why I asked to put 2292. When we passed the ordinance enabling us to have the temporary and permanent, we really didn't put any definitions in there. So there's really not a definition of a time limit. There's really not a definition of, private property. And if you look, I've looked at Little Rock's, and it's quite extensive with the definitions, and their definition of a temporary is no more than 2 weeks. And I do feel that that was the spirit that we were making this, is that it would kind of be an event thing, it would be a temporary thing. And as you all know, I voted for the permanent district, and I still see a lot of merit in it. But I also believe in the First Amendment right, and that's the right to petition. And if you petition and are successful, you have the right to have it followed. And it's really hard for me to go against the citizens who asked that this be put to a vote. And for me to do that, it's very uncomfortable for me.
Ms. Snyder?
As strongly as I fought against any kind of entertainment district, I'm obviously not going to be for a so-called temporary that goes through September from July. That's weird. I personally have no problem if a restaurant is in a position where they can put like a bench out front, so somebody waiting for a table can sit there and have a beer or a glass of wine while they're waiting. I have no problem with that, as long as they have the private property to do it, but those people cannot walk away with the alcohol. That's not a big deal, just sitting there waiting for a table having a beer. But something like what's been asked for here is definitely a slap in the face to the people, and there's just no way.
Ms. Harmon?
I just have a real quick question on the original ordinance. The two are tied together, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got the permanent and the temporary within the same ordinance, as far as definitions go, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay, that's all I needed.
Mr. Thomas?
First of all, I think Ms. Green has been referencing the wrong ordinance. The enabling ordinance is 2283.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, online it was 2292.
Yeah, okay. If we vote for this or against this, we should be voting for the right reasons. The council approved a permanent downtown entertainment district, and a group of people was opposed to that, so they got up a petition to oppose the permanent downtown entertainment district. That's their right to do. It's in the it's in our code of how you do it, how you file a petition. The people that are coming back now and requesting a temporary entertainment district are requesting it under 2283, which is a different ordinance from the one that's being appealed by the petition. So I just want to clarify, the people that are asking for a temporary entertainment district are not doing anything underhanded. They're not doing anything slip-slotty. They have a perfect right to do this. They're dealing with a different ordinance, and, you can't vote against it because you think they're ignoring the people that filed the petition. They're not. the people that filed the petition did not file against 2283. They filed against the permanent downtown entertainment district ordinance. Now, with that said, when we originally passed the downtown permanent entertainment district, my position was, and I heard from people on both sides, that it was really, my personal opinion, a lot of hullabaloo over nothing. I did not think it was going to bring that many people to town, nor did I think there would be that many people getting run over on Main Street. I thought it was just kind of a, you know, it just could go either way. And I was for it because it gave us the opportunity to see if it worked, to see if it did good for the city. However, right now, we have a pandemic going on, and that's a whole different situation. So at this point in time, plus the fact that you would have to do a resolution for this, which means you would have to come back on July, 27th with a resolution. So actually, it wouldn't even be operating except for 5 weeks, the month of September or the month of August and the first month of September. And I think for a test run, doing it for 5 weeks in August during a pandemic is not a valid test run. So I probably am going to vote against it, but I just want people to vote against it for the right reasons.
Ms. Snyder?
Well, I almost wish we had gone with Melissa's thing first. We'd have more to work on. Because, no, we didn't get as much clarified as we should have. But the time period involved in this, since it matches identically with the request for the permanent, is, you just can't ignore that. The fact that we have so many things unsafe going on right now with the virus stuff and everything else makes you not want to do it. The fact that we're missing 7 people in the police department because of our budget cuts and the hiring freeze and everything tends to say, I'm sorry, we can't spend so much as a nickel on this, and yet, even though they have volunteered to pay part of it, we'd end up with part, and that's not right. So this whole thing, I just know. I can't see us doing anything along these lines at this point with anybody, especially since we are not allowing any events or any kind of permits and stuff. And I don't remember the exact wording, but I know the intention was you had to have an event and a permit.
Ms. Green?
Well, first, I agree with Bob. The applicants that applied, because of the way the ordinance is written, they can apply for a temporary as long as it is. There's no definition of the timeline. So I want to say that I don't believe that they did anything underhanded. They did what their law required. I also agree with Mickey. I have absolutely no problem with restaurants that have waiting lines now because of their diminished capacity to be able to, outside in front of their property, be able to serve drinks. And I think it would help them. I also know that you can buy, I believe, I have been told this and I believe it's true, you can buy beer and wine and take out of the restaurant at this time.
Not in a cup.
Oh, no, I think you have to bring it covered.
What?
You can't do that anymore.
You can buy a 6-pack in a liquor store.
All right, let's keep it on target here, please. Mr. McClung?
Excuse me, just to set the record straight, I don't think this body laid off any policemen. So
I didn't
that's
say
an
we
incorrect
did.
statement.
I didn't say we laid them off, but we're not letting them be rehired.
All right. Okay. Mr. Meyer?
Well, if I remember how the ordinance reads, the mayor can make the rejection upon the grounds that he did, and unless we think that's a capricious decision, we have to back him up.
Any further discussion?
Make a
Mr.
motion.
Thomas?
Yeah, I agree with Harry, but I would like to clarify that right now, a restaurant, unless they have a fence around their property, they can't allow people to go outside and sit on a bench in their property. You have to have, it has to be within a controlled area. So that's not an option right now for restaurants.
Any further discussion? Ms. Green?
Well, what Bob said probably is true. Is there any chance that maybe we could talk about that and work that out? Because I think it would help if people outside of a restaurant could have.
That's got nothing to do with what we're doing
No,
right now.
but is it possible?
Let's deal with that later.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion on this item on the agenda? Ms. Snyder?
I was just going to make a motion that we
I don't think we
uphold
need a
your-
motion made. This is, unless you want to appeal it and make a motion to approve.
Oh, no.
You don't make a motion necessarily. It just dies,
Oh, okay.
because I've already denied it. What this is appealing my decision. So if you want to appeal it, that would be the motion.
Okay. No, I was going to do a motion to back up your denial.
Well,
A motion to take no action?
huh?
A motion to take no action?
So no action need to be taken. Yeah. I mean, the council can make that, but, there's no need to at this point. As far as I know. Mr. Weaver, is there any action that needs to be taken on an appeal? Can you hear us, Mr. Weaver?
Yes, you don't have to take an action if you don't want to. If the council believes that they can take a vote to disapprove if they wish.
Okay. Either way, council want to do anything?
You what?
You want to make a motion, Ms. Snyder, you can.
Okay, I make a motion that we continue on with your denial of the incident.
You
of the-
you don't have to do that, Mickey.
Reject the
I thought
appeal.
you just said.
Apparently you weren't listening.
I said we could go either way.
All right, I'm not hearing a second, we'll just go ahead and like it is. Thank you. All right, our next item of business is discussion of rules and guidelines for the council during meetings. Ms. Harmon, Ms. Green. Motion to discuss,
Motion to discuss.
I'll second that.
okay. Ms. Harmon, you want to lead off?
So basically, I know you've got some information.
Again, please speak in the microphone a little bit.
I know you've got some information here. Was this what we were, okay. Was this what was originally discussed a couple of years ago? So this was the form that was adopted, or was this just an idea or a agreement that we would try to follow this? So
Yeah, there was just discussion, nothing formal.
Nothing was formalized. Okay. I would hope that when somebody sits at this table, that they would be able to be kind and considerate of other council members. Obviously, our citizens have voted or not voted in these individuals based on whether or not they had someone running against them. I understand that. But at the same time, I do not think that it is appropriate for a city council member to bully or put down another council member based on their opinion. We should all be able to have our opinions. We should all be able to accept the way that the vote goes at this table without becoming or getting to the point of almost being belligerent towards not only city council members, but also the mayor. So I'm not sure what we have as far as legal rights to remove someone if it is a continued offense, but I do believe that we should, at the very least, adopt something so that it isn't just an idea, isn't just a discussion, isn't just a thought that comes up again and again based on any one particular council member.
Mr. Thomas?
The code of conduct that we considered a couple of years ago did not have all the extraneous material attached to it that the stuff that you have in front of you right now does. It was a simple code of conduct. I believe that it was passed because I brought it to the table, and
I
I
thought so,
certainly
too.
made a motion that it should be approved. But it was only just approved. What the municipal league has done now is they prepared a resolution so that you can actually adopt it by resolution. And if it's okay, I'd like to hand this out because I've condensed it and given you the resolution, and maybe we could assign a number and pass the resolution.
Ms. Green?
I know at times we
Can we
get,
pass some more?
we get passionate and we overreact and, oh, it's the same one. And I think Ms. Harmon was right. We need not to bully each other, and the city clerk is in there too, also the mayor, and also members of the public. And I just think we need to respect one another and be civil to one another.
Oh, so the resolution is on the back, I see. Okay.
All right. Mr. Thomas?
Terry has his hand up first.
Mr. McClung? I'm sorry, didn't see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, this front page is incorporated into the resolution, right?
Yeah, it says adopt a code of conduct, the attached document, instead of attached
Okay,
on the
so-
back.
Would you consider just getting it on the agenda so for approval at next meeting?
Well, the discussion is on the agenda tonight, so I'm ready to make, in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion that we assign this resolution a number and read it for passage. And
Did
that,
Mr. Weaver prepare this?
no, this is taken from the municipal codes.
Has Mr. Weaver seen it?
No.
Okay. Ms. Snyder?
It would be nice if we had time to read it, think about it, whatever, rather than just all of a sudden jumping.
Ms. Harmon?
My understanding is this would have to go through a vote just like anything else. So there would be 3 votes, correct? To
No, it's a
continue- or-
resolution.
No, oh, it's a resolution, okay.
Yeah.
But we would have discussion as to whether or not, we would have additional discussion at our next meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, did I hear Mr. Meyer?
Well, I think we should have Mr. Weaver look at it first, and we can address it next meeting. I guess I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second to defer this till next meeting to have Mr. Weaver review it. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, stick with Mr. Thomas?
Yeah. I would just like to say that I don't think it takes a long time to discuss good behavior, but if you guys want to take 2 weeks to look at it, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of deferring this into our next meeting and having Mr. Weaver review this, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No?
Mr. Thomas, was that a no from you?
Yes,
Correct?
it was a no.
Okay. All right, that brings us to item number 5, discussion of allowing people to speak for themselves during public comments with protocols. Mr. Thomas and
I seconded it.
Ms. Green. All right, Mr. Thomas?
When we were going to move over here, the council voted not to have people speak for themselves, that they would submit written comments before 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting. We've had 2 meetings since then, and at one of those, we allowed people to speak for themselves, and at the second one, we read a comment from someone that was only submitted when the meeting started. So we've been very inconsistent with how we've implemented this. Personally, this is the way our attendance is looking. We had, 1 comment tonight. I would like to see council change and vote to allow people to come to the microphone and speak for themselves.
Got a motion?
I'm making that a motion, unless you want Mr. Weaver to review it.
I'll second that.
All right, got a discussion? Anybody want to discuss?
What do you think, Mr. Weaver?
All right, hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. That brings us to item number 6, discussion of the Fayetteville and Rogers mask ordinance. Mr. Thomas?
Well, both Fayetteville and Rogers have passed.
We need a motion.
Oh,
To
get a motion.
discuss.
I'm sorry. You're
Motion
right.
to
Motion to
discuss.
discuss.
Second.
All right, Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry.
Now, excuse me, both Fayetteville and Rogers have passed mask ordinances. They are not mandating masks, and that's the first thing I want to clear up, is that when people have contacted me and say they want masks mandated in the city of Eureka Springs, we don't have the authority to do that, and the city of Fayetteville doesn't have the authority to do that, nor did the city of Rogers have the authority to do that. They have both, well, Fayetteville passed theirs before the governor came out, but he came out on Friday the 3rd and said that cities can mandate masks under the guidelines of the ADH, and then he also added another couple of stipulations. So Fayetteville and Rogers have both of their ordinance is referred to mandating wearing masks in private, or not private, but indoors. They've mandated wearing masks indoors, and they've also mandated that you have to wear a mask when you are in a limited outside space and there's not room for social distancing. The difference between the two is that the Fayetteville, both of them do not provide for any penalty under the governor's guidelines for any punishment for somebody that refuses to wear a mask. Fayetteville actually gives a fine to the business person who allows someone in his or her business without a mask. And the governor had said there can be no punishment, so really that's going to be a problem for Fayetteville if anybody challenges it. Rogers simply said that, business people need to put up a sign, and when someone comes into their business, they need to ask them to wear a mask or ask them to leave. And if they refuse, they of course can call the police because they're effectively trespassing at that point if they're, in your business and they're not complying with the rules of your business. So I think we could consider something like that, but I just really wanted to clarify because I've been taking a lot of grief, and I know everybody else at this table has, about the fact that we have not mandated that everybody in Eureka Springs have to wear a mask. We cannot do that. And so I'd like to hear what other people have to say.
Mr. Myers?
Yeah, I'd like Mr. Weaver's opinion on this, how this compares to the resolution that we got from the Municipal League, and is there anything else that we can do to put more teeth in it?
Ms. Weaver, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Mr. Weaver?
Yes. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. As far as putting more teeth in it, I don't know that there is a way with the governor's limitations to really put a lot of teeth in it. As was mentioned a moment ago, if people come into a restaurant or into a business and they're not wearing a mask, and the business operator asks them to put on a mask or leave, and they won't leave, that's trespass. We already have that on our books. We can already prosecute you if you won't leave a business when you've been asked to. We've used that in the past, not for masks, but when people come in without their shoes or shirt on or something like that, businesses have always had the ability to control people that come into their businesses and refuse to cooperate. So at this point, I don't know that we're really adding anything, because if we put any kind of fine, we're violating the governor's order. If we don't want to necessarily penalize the shopkeepers, like Fayetteville's ordinance, because again, I think we're violating the spirit of what the governor is saying. Don't put criminal penalties on these. So the reality is, I think maybe a resolution asking the governor to reconsider and allow a penalty might be beneficial to the community. I think maybe an understanding from the community that we do have trespass laws if they're necessary to be used, but passing an ordinance similar to what has been proposed by the municipal league, I don't really think helps us a lot or puts us a lot further than the resolution that the council has already passed.
I'd like to add a couple of items too that Mr. Thomas didn't get around to mentioning. One of the things in Governor Hutchinson's template for ordinance states that the capacity for local businesses that wish to enforce. In other words, it's up to the business to call the police to enforce this. This isn't up to me seeing a violation at a store and calling the police. It has to be the business that calls in for the complaint. So again, as Mr. Weaver states, the business still has that opportunity to call in for a complaint on through there. So this is one of the things too that is only happens if the business owner calls and asks for help. So, Ms. Snyder.
Tim, is it possible that the city could order the businesses to at least put a sign on their door, no mask, no entry? I mean, you know, not those words, but meaning that. Can we make that just a local guideline, so to speak? Or is that intruding on private property?
We could have an ordinance that said that they're supposed to, but if they don't do it, we have no way of enforcing it under the governor's rule. So if the business don't want to put up the sign, the business don't necessarily have to put up the sign, and we can't close them down just because they don't.
So in other words, until the governor actually does his own personal mandate with fines, whatever, cities really can't do anything that can be enforced, right?
At this point, all we can do is strongly encourage the governor to give us more teeth.
Thought we did that last meeting.
Ms. Green?
So Tim, in other words, we could cite them for trespassing. Are there penalties and fines for trespassing?
Yes, ma'am. Trespassing can carry up to, I believe it's 30 days in jail and up to a $500 fine, I believe.
Right.
Just off the top of my head. I'd have to look, but it's something in that neighborhood.
Okay, so we do kind of have something that might help a little bit, is what you're saying?
If the business owner decides to do something.
Right.
It's still up to the business owners, okay?
Okay.
Ms. Harmon?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think I mean, at this point, it really falls on the business owner, whether or not they enforce it or they don't enforce it. You know, I'm not here to tell a business what they can and cannot do. I think a lot of the letters and different things that I've received over the last week are from people who do have concerns, and I think we all have concerns. I think that the majority of them that have written, though, have said they've been driving through downtown and don't see that many people with masks on. Having a business myself, I do know that our guests do walk from their room over to the dining room. They're required, because we're inspected by the health department, to wear that mask when they come in and until they have that drink. And we explain all of that to them. We explain to them that there are many businesses downtown that do require masks, and there are events and activities that will require them to wear a mask. And most have seemed perfectly fine with it. When this all started, we were selling masks to them if they forgot one, but the majority of people have brought masks with them and have several either in their car or their purse or whatever, just in case they've lost one. So I think the question may be, and I know we don't have a lot of people here that are business owners, but my question to them would be, are they seeing people not wearing masks when they come inside? Because that's the most important thing. And I think, you see people outside. I mean, myself, I don't wear a mask when I take the dog for a walk, but typically when I'm outside walking, I don't have anybody near me, maybe once while I'm walking the dog, and maybe, it's very easy for me to stay several hundred feet away from them unless they decide they want to come up and talk. So that would be my question, as to whether or not the businesses feel like they are having trouble keeping people out. But again, it's their decision whether or not they say you can or cannot come in. And I'd like to keep it that way, because we do live in the United States, and that has always been one of the things that has made this country great, is that we do have those freedoms to decide for ourselves what to do and what not to do. So,
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but some of the citizenry, I believe, wants us to do more than what we're legally capacitated to do, and we're kind of stuck. It's just we're limited. So what we have in place is probably as good as any, I believe, is what Tim was saying there. And if a business owner is having a problem, call the police and get them on the trespass deal. And I think that's all we can do.
Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I just like to respond to Mr. Myers about the ordinance. If you pull up the governor's proclamation online, he has attached, there's a sample ordinance attached to it. I'm not sure if it's from the municipal league or from the governor's office, but
From the municipal league.
it's attached to his proclamation. Also, this would be a good project for Main Street or Heart of Eureka to take on, would be encouraging all of the businesses to put up the signs. Because, how many people, when they see a sign that says no shirt, no shoes, try to get in with no shirt or no shoes? And I think a mask would certainly tell people you put them on the mask or you don't come in.
Ms. Green?
I agree with Bob. I think if we had signs, even if we had sign, we would appreciate that you wear a mask. I think it might send a message. And like Mr. McClung said, we have no teeth to enforce this. And that's what hurts, is I think every one of us sitting at this table would like to see mandatory masks in public places and where you cannot social distance. And until he gives us some teeth, it's really hard to enforce it. But I agree, some kind of signage maybe in the stores of something, like we would appreciate, or something, if you didn't want to say mask required, I think would really help. It would still send a message.
Ms. Snyder?
3 weeks ago, the businesses downtown were pretty much split 50-50 for and against mandatory masks. In that 3-week period, we've had this major surge of the virus hitting, and an awful lot more are all for making people wear a mask. Yes, they're afraid of losing business, but they're also afraid of losing their lives. They're hoping that the city will take a stand and this will help them out, even if it's a matter of saying, well, the city said so, don't take it out on me. Any excuse to keep themselves safe, but also keep business. You know, it's one of those deals. Now, the other group of people that have become extremely vocal are our residents. They have no say in anything. Most of them refuse to shop downtown or have anything to do with downtown because the city won't make a stand. I understand the legal ramifications and everything else, but there's got to be something we can do to protect our people, number one, help our businesses, number two, keep everybody safe. When it comes to people's rights, yes, they have the right to wear or not wear a mask. However, you know, if they want to risk their lives, that's their right. They do not have the right to pass on an infection to everybody else. That's where you come into the problem with the mask. Everybody says, I have the right. I don't have to wear a blue t-shirt. I don't have to wear green socks. Well, when it comes to a mask, it's not a matter of keeping you safe, it's a matter of keeping us safe. And people they don't care. They don't know you, so they don't care. This is what it comes down to. This is why the businesses are having problems. This is why our people who live here and chose to live here are not wanting to come downtown for any reason, because they're afraid of getting sick, because nobody will make a stand. There's got to be something we can do. We've got to come up with something. Whether it's enforceable or not is pretty much beside the point. If you put up signs, if you have the shops put up signs, people are going to do it. Probably 90 to 95% of the people will do it because it says so. And this surge in the last couple of weeks has scared them to death. You get less and less people complaining or standing against it, and thank God we are not a beach, because them you can't get through to at all. But there's got to be something we can do to keep our people safe and help our businesses.
Ms. Green?
I agree with Mickey. You know, some kind of signage would be nice, because most citizens and tourists are law-abiding. And if they feel like they have to do something, most of them are not going to fight it. And what I have seen, and Channel 3 did something about in the last 3 weeks, what Mickey's talking about, the surge, is they did a survey, and 86% of the people said they think about and probably will wear a mask, as to a few weeks before it was about 50%. So I think people are getting it. I don't know if we can actually put signage up. I would like to, but again, I don't know what the legal ramifications are going to be. I don't know if somebody's going to sue us. You know, we seem to have a lot of lawsuits in this town.
Ms. Harmon?
I will say that the amount of signage and the amount of information that came out of City Hall for our businesses was exceptional. There are signs that have been designed that all they have to do is get online and print those things out. No shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. How many times have you seen that one? It is up to the business owner to hang that sign. But those signs, I know Kim sent out email after email after email with those signs. Those signs exist. They could make 100 copies if they wanted to and plaster it on every single inch of their windows. Those signs are there. They've been there since, I'm going to say, the middle of March, the beginning of March. We have the signage. Everybody has access to that signage. If somebody has not seen those signs, or if somebody needs those signs, all they have to do is give Kim a call or go are they posted, available, PDF form, whatever, on the city website, correct?
Yeah, they're accessible, yeah.
Okay, so they're there. So again, when we say, can we get signs? We have the signs. We've had the signs for quite some time. They are there, they are available. And there are several different varieties that are available to businesses or citizens to post wherever they'd like. So I just wanted to clarify that we do have the signs.
Yeah,
and
but I didn't mean a physical sign. I meant an actual activity from the
I'm
council.
talking about the sign issue.
Well, that's
So-
not what I was
Now, wait a
saying.
minute, please, one at a time. Ms. Harmon?
I just was referring to what Melissa was saying, as far as whether or not we have signage or we can do something. There is signage out there, and it looks nice, it's been done, it's there for them, so.
Mr. McClung?
There's not a retailer or business in town that I've been in that doesn't have a sign already posted. They all do. If those that don't have them, it's because they don't want to have them. So we've already been informed that we can't mandate anything. So, the only thing I could suggest that we do would be to make a banner to hang at Spring Street that says, "Wear your mask, our lives depend on it," and that would be
We
it.
have it.
And we already have
We
it.
already have
Already
it.
How about that?
I don't know
So
if it's
what the
quite
hell
that
you want?
good. I don't know if it's quite that good, but yeah.
Ms. Green?
Why don't we consider drafting a strong resolution, again, to the governor, asking him to do something and give us some teeth? That seems to be the consensus, is that's about.
Would you like to make a motion, Ms. Green, that we have?
I'd like to make a motion that we make a very strongly worded resolution to Governor Hutchinson, asking him to mandate some kind of enforcement for mandatory mask in public places and places where we cannot socially distance.
Okay, we got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Harmon?
You'll have to be very, very specific what you're asking, because if you just send a resolution and you say we'd like for him to mandate masks, he's going to say, I've already put things in place.
It's got to be whispered.
So it has to be specific as to what you're asking,
I think she mentioned enforcement.
Yeah.
right? But
penalties.
what does that mean? That's what
We'll-
I'm
we'll
saying,
get-
specific.
We understand, yeah, okay. And
Firing squad?
Ooh, sounds good.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. We'll get one made up for our next council meeting. Mr. Weaver, you have an assignment, if you can hear us. If not, I'll call you in the morning. All right, that brings us up to our next item is item number 7, discussion of the entertainment district. And I forgot who made that.
I did,
Ms. Green,
okay.
get a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
What I found, and again, I'm going to say, the people that applied for this temporary permit, there's been a lot of talk in town, oh, they're trying to, go over the resolution, but they had the right to do it. There's nothing in our ordinance that gives any time period, gives really any definitions to what the difference between a temporary and a permanent is. And unless we have it, we're going to have more people applying. And I think we should take the time, and is it amending an ordinance to put some definitions in it? Little Rock has very strong definitions. They describe what a temporary is, and they describe what a permanent is. Now, I will say that Little Rock passed, their temporary is for 2 weeks, but they have what is a board of directors, which is like a city council. The city council overrode their ordinance and allowed a 2-month temporary permit.
Ms. Snyder?
As long as it took us to work on this, I was of the impression that a temporary entertainment district basically was for an event. All of our events are like one weekend. So whether we misworded or omitted wording or just assumed, and that's probably what we did, that a temporary would be for an event, which would be in Eureka for a weekend. Now, the thing is, when they started working on the permanent, my understanding was if you had a permanent, you no longer had to do a temporary because you always had a permanent. Did I misunderstand that part?
Yes,
Yes.
You don't have to scream. I'm right here.
yes.
Okay, so what we should do, well, see, you could sit there and say, at least until November, when the people vote on it, when the people vote on it in November, then we'll know if we're having permanent or not. Either way, we could set up guidelines for temporary, but since we're not allowing any events, how can we allow a temporary? Unless we make that part of it, that a temporary event, a temporary district is only good for an event, which would be no more than one weekend. But we're not doing permits, we're not allowing events. So what do? Do we wait for November? Do we do a temporary on the temporary, or what?
Ms. Green?
Well, first, I think what Mickey is trying to say, when we made the ordinance, there were a lot of thoughts that went in it, which I call the spirit of the law. Now, I think the spirit of the law does have a definite definition between temporary and permanent, but I don't know how well that would hold up in court. Mickey, we are voting on the permanent district in November, but a temporary doesn't necessarily in the permanent district. It can be up on the highway, it can be outside, up by the Passion Play where we're on the city limits. So a temporary is for other areas inside of the city besides where the permanent one is. And I agree, a temporary, I think of an event, but again, it could be for something that could be up to 2 weeks. So I just think the reason I put this on the agenda was to work on strengthening the ordinance so that we had different definitions.
Ms. Harmon?
Just to clarify, a perfect example of a temporary entertainment district is if the May Festival of the Arts decided to do something because that event is held over an entire month. If they needed to have some portion of a temporary entertainment district that would allow them to do XYZ, and the temporary allowed them to do it, they could do it under a temporary, and it could be available during that entire month of May. So it doesn't have to be necessarily an event, like Melissa said. It can be in different areas within the city limits, but they have anybody at this point, which I think is Melissa's discussion, is that anybody during this time, whether we're within a virus or not, they have the legal right to apply for a temporary entertainment district. So the question is, based on what we know today, as opposed to what we knew when this was originally passed, does it make sense to make some updates to it? And does it make sense to make updates that will benefit our businesses prior to the permanent being voted on?
Mr. Meyer?
I think we may as well not even discuss this till after we're over this whole COVID thing.
Works for me.
It's a moot point, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to vote for any, to override the mayor on a temporary entertainment district and while this thing's going and cases are going up, but it's absurd. You know, there's a young woman that worked in one of these shops that's got a no mask sign that has 104 fever today. She's not at work and she hasn't tested yet, but she's probably going to come out positive. this is scary stuff. Let's just table the whole issue for a while.
Ms. Green?
Harry, I hear what you're saying, no disrespect. I don't care if we don't approve any more temporary permits. What I'm trying to do is get it where we don't have someone applying for a temporary permit that's actually kind of echoing our permanent district. I just want to clean up the ordinance so the definitions are in there. It doesn't mean that we're going to approve any temporaries. It just clarifies everybody.
I think November is going to be here real quick, and I think to Mr. Myers' point, and Mr. Thomas made it earlier, by the time we got something passed, it's going to be September and then October, so I think this is a moot question. I don't think this is going to be coming up again from this one. We may have another entertainment district proposal from somebody up on top of the highway. I don't know, but that's an entirely separate issue from the downtown.
Well, at some point in time, if the permanent one passes, I would like to clean up the ordinance.
Yeah. All right, any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I think that concludes our business for tonight. We'll get into agenda setting. Mr. Thomas?
The resolution for a code of conduct.
I'll second that.
I think that was already been made with the motion, but that's okay. Any further agendas? All right, city council comments. Mr. Thomas?
I think tonight's discussion was really beneficial. I really like it when we toss out ideas in a respectful manner, and I appreciate hearing from everybody.
Ms. Green?
I echo Bob's sentiments, and I hope that people will see the benefits of the mask. With the surge, and it's been proven if people wear masks, you're 93% chance of not getting it. So I hope people will listen.
Ms. Snyder?
Oh, I just want to congratulate my oldest son Tracy on finally passing his EMS and fireman rescue volunteer position in West Fork. He's been wanting to do this for years, and he finally got her done.
Mr. Myers?
All I can say is everybody stay safe. No, I'm not going uptown anyway. There's too many unmasked people walking the streets. And that's where it's at. It's in the street, not so much in the shops. Because, when you walk up a sidewalk and you're 3 inches a bit away or 6 inches away from somebody with no mask that's coughing, it's scary. That's all.
Ms. Harmon?
This isn't really it's my thought. I really would like for the mayor to reconsider opening up those parking places on Spring Street so that there is more room for people to walk around downtown and to separate themselves on those sidewalks because they are very, very narrow. I think it's one of those things that we can do as a town to try to help make people as safe as can be, in addition to the masks and whatnot that people are requiring when someone goes into their store or restaurant. So that's just an appeal to you, Mayor, as a citizen, as a business owner, as a city council member, that you would consider opening or closing those parking spaces on Spring Street so that there is more room for individuals to walk downtown.
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, I'll just echo that and then just add to be safe. I hope everyone stays healthy.
All right, well, thank you. There's a couple of housekeeping things we got to take care of with city council. One that's coming up is the workshops with the Parks Commission. They're pretty flexible on the dates, so, we can have any Monday in August when the council is not meeting. which is the 3rd, 17th, or the 31st. So is there any preference on here from anyone? August the 3rd be okay?
Yeah,
Any objections to the 3rd of August for the, Mr. Thomas?
As long as we get the answers to our questions before then.
I think we already have a lot of those answers, but I'll double check. I thought we had distributed some of those, but I'll go ahead.
Okay,
6 PM?
Yeah, 6 PM on the 3rd,
right here, right?
yes. And then that brings us to the Planning Commission workshop. We have several people there who are not, they're unable to meet until they're more comfortable, and they would like to postpone this workshop on the tree ordinance until we can get face-to-face. They're not comfortable with meeting, several members of the Planning Commission at this point. So if that's all right, we'll just hold off on that for a period of time. Also, all the Arkansas County Health Departments have been tasked by the state health to hold an after-hours COVID testing event. Ours is going to be, for Carroll County, is scheduled for Friday, August the 7th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. over at the Berryville Community Center parking lot. The goal is to test as many Carroll County residents as we can on that day. So again, that's Friday, August the 7th, from 4 to 8. The health department's also, during that same time, is needing some volunteers. So anybody out in public or the city council that would like to help, but they're looking especially for nurses or volunteers to help with the paperwork and traffic flow. So if you're able to assist with the testing on August the 7th, please contact the Carroll County Health Unit at 870-423-2923. That's 870-423-2923 by the end of July to let them know if you're going to be able to help and volunteer. The other thing I wanted to bring up and let the council know and the public, I have been going back and forth on, we're coming up, August is going to be here before we blink. And I wish this COVID virus would go as fast as some of the days that we have. But at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and defer probably issuing any city permits for events in the Basin Park or anything else until at least the first of the year because of the COVID virus and all of the increase that we've been seeing around here. I haven't seen any reason why we need to have large groups for parades or music in the park or drumming in the park as far as the city permits go. Now, I may change that decision if we find that sometime in October, like the governor, we've decided, we've seen where the COVID virus, our testing and our positive cases have gone down, then I'll reconsider that at that point. But until it does show a good sign of going down instead of going up, at this point, I'm not going to be issuing any city permits for special events. Now, I do want to mention, somebody talked to me over the weekend about the fireworks. Fireworks wasn't a special event. The fireworks was an ordinance that had to have approval by the council. That wasn't anything that was a special event that the city issued. So I want to make that clear, that's not a special event. Special events are things like the parades, music in the park, drumming, items like that. So this is the areas that we're looking at. Now, you will know that there's a lot of, there's still going to be some car shows in town, but again, there will not be any car parades. We're not stopping any car shows. Those people can still come in. The ones that are coming in, and specifically, the Volkswagens are going to be here, but we are having banners put up into the Ozarks and out at the Passion Play, and those owners of the property are requiring that masks be worn. So again, this is an indication of how the owner can take responsibility in requiring masks being done on property. So they're very concerned about what's going on, as we all are, and we would all love to have a mask mandatory, but the problem is we don't have any enforcement. So if we had to pass an ordinance, it would still be up to the local businesses to enforce that ordinance that, to wear the mask. And unfortunately, the businesses, if they don't want to enforce that ordinance, they don't have to, or they won't, I'll put it that way. So the governor's ordinance templates really doesn't address wearing a mask outside, which is also confusing. A lot of people think this ordinance wearing masks in Fayetteville and other places pertains to people walking the streets. It does not. It only pertains to people going into businesses. So as much as we would like, and I would like to see everybody being, wearing masks, in my experience, the last several days of driving up and down the street, I've seen more and more people wearing masks. They may not be on the sidewalks, but I notice as soon as they get ready to go into the store, and I saw that today several times, people are reaching in their pocket and bringing a mask out. People have the mask with them, and they're wearing them. So I think everybody's getting attention on there. And also, as mentioned too, I do see the signs on people, as mentioned, no mask, no shoes, no mask, no enter. So anyway, I want everybody to be safe, wear your mask, keep your social distances, wash your hands, and we can go on from there. So get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All I wanted to do was to say, I forgot to say, the Eurekan is one of those things that will not be able to happen this year.
That's right.
And it was our 10th anniversary.
Well, the Ozark Folk Festival is what, Terry? 60-something?
Yeah, way up there.
So the Eurekan is it's older than me, too. I guess it's over 70, actually. I think it may have been 71st, 72nd, yeah. So.
727.